What is up, everybody? This is Jake with the Evolve Your Fitness podcast, and I'm back this week with Coach Diduch, and we are going to talk about being a coach while also being a sport parent, and some of the journey of that. Before we get started, if you can make sure you like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. That helps our algorithm and all that business. Coach, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing, Jake?
Good to have you back.
Yeah, found some time here with Christmas break, so it's not a lot of time, but sometimes. So
yeah, when do you guys go back after next week?
Yeah, what the 9th? No, 9th, 10th. I don't even know. No, it's gonna be the 5th.
Yeah, the first is on Thursday, I think. So second, third, fourth, yeah, somewhere around 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, first up, we'll give a little background so everybody knows. Last time Coach was on, we went over how he's he's always been involved in coaching sports. He helped our baseball team and become successful, and then brought a team to state for football at Forston, and they won state. But he also has his two twin daughters, both D1 athletes, right?
Yep.
So one wrestles at Iowa, and the other was a soccer player at Illinois State University, and now is at University of Illinois.
She went to
Springfield,
UIS, Illinois Springfield. So that's actually D2, but yeah, she's real excited for a fresh start. So
yeah, awesome. I know she's had kind of a difficult journey with injuries and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess first up, let's go over with how'd you let them choose their sports?
Well, I got to bring up because I got Rudy, who's a dancer and a soccer player. So she's a senior at Freeport, and which the fact that she's a dancer is pretty incredible because Jess and I have no theatrical or exhibitionist tendencies, you know what I mean? And then Trey, is a sophomore at Freeport. He wrestles. So
yeah. Sorry about that. That's my bad.
No, that's right.
I'm not including them on that. I'm having a hard time getting past the idea of thinking of you dancing.
Hey, no. many drinks, maybe. Then,
yeah, right.
Actually, it shouldn't be too many drinks now. It's probably one drink, and then I might be thinking about it. But
awesome. So, I guess how do you let your kids choose their sports, or how do you direct that path? In general, how did it start off, and then did you have any say in what sports they wanted to do, or did you kind of just let things free flow? How did that work?
I would honestly say it's totally free flow, and I guess proof in the pudding is that so Cadence and Autumn they both tried. They started with soccer. Well, first of all, we did like the gymnasticsy stuff, and basically did that until it got too expensive for what the kids were going to get out of it. But I do think it was important that they listen to somebody else, following directions, being with adults. And then ironically, they really struggled with like the awards day where they like had to do something and then got like a ribbon for it. Like they just started bawling, crying. Like we had no idea what the issue was, but I think it was eyes on them kind of thing. Anyways, you figure out all those kind of stuff when they're young. They had no problem following directions and learning new things. But I mean, there's obviously that's a skill that some kids don't have, and so you want that to happen. So then our kids got into stuff that Jess and I are not in, or we're not involved in. So soccer was the first thing, and that was just a big thing that was in Freeport.
AYSO.
Yeah, AYSO.
Oh yeah,
just running around.
I played that.
Basically, what happened was, I preface all of this with I think Jess and I were always. Jess did volleyball, by the way. She played college volleyball at Augustana. I played football at Wesleyan. We weren't looking for them to be necessarily in our sports. That was never a dream of either one of us. So they got into soccer, and it was kind of clear. I mean, again, not try to be like, we always try to I think we've always been not the parent be like our kid's the best. But it was kind of clear that Autumn Cadence were faster than the other kids and a little bit more physical than the other kids and enjoyed it. Like they wanted to be close, they wanted to be competitive. Whether they won or lost, it didn't matter, but like they wanted the challenge. So they were doing AYSO, and then somebody grabbed us, and there was a Freeport, what we wanted, lack of a better word, a travel team. You know, like wanted to do more once AYSO was done.
Sorry, just to back up, what ages did they start playing soccer at?
Man, it was young, 7 or 8-ish.
Oh, okay. Maybe. So not that. I mean, that's not
super young. Yeah, no.
Kids started like 3 up here.
Yeah, no, and then basically all that was so a Freeport team got together of the kids that wanted to do more, and we had to play against co-ed teams because there just wasn't that many teams around. You know, it was like us, Dixon. I think the farthest we had to do was Quad Cities, but it was like a league. It wasn't necessarily like tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a summer league or something.
Yeah, and then you just had a set schedule. And that first year, I mean, they just got killed. But whatever. So it was clear that they liked it, and they liked doing extra. They wanted to go to practice. And so basically our kind of thing as we began all this is, did they want to go to practice? And well, I'm going to be honest with you. We've been very lucky. I don't think we've ever had a time, maybe Rudy a little bit with soccer, but they didn't want to go to practice.
Okay.
If anything, it's like they want more practices, and then we gotta figure out if that works for the family. Do we have enough cars? Do we, can we make it work without somebody else having to give something out? So, so that's kind of how we've always read it. And I do think Cadence and Traden have been in some rooms that, like, as a grown ass man, I'm intimidated to go into. So they've kind of survived that. I mean, I got plenty of stories with that, but like the Dakota wrestling room, when we first went into that, like I was intimidated to go in there. You know, you knew what went on in that room, how much intensity there was. And my daughter is 10 years old and thriving in it. You know what I mean? So again, if she's going to make that, what's after that? So we kind of just like let the sport take us where we went. And keep in mind, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I didn't know anything about, tournaments or anything like that. Who's good. Stuff
you didn't wrestle in high school?
I did, but like I wrestled my junior and senior year. And actually I just met the guy that he still coaches for Nels Notre Dame. There was a guy that was 130 pounds who was incredibly strong. I was in the weight room, weighed 135. I had quit basketball. And so they recruited me to go in there and just basically get my ass kicked by Mark Helma is his name. And so I did that. I got my ass kicked for 2 years. I don't think I ever won a varsity match. If I did, it was forfeit. I was terrible at wrestling, especially starting late. I basically knew one thing from each position. If I did do something well, the guy figured out
immediately countered it.
Yeah. And then I was done, but I mean, what I loved about it was that everything else was easier after that.
Yeah. And for those who don't know out there, wrestling is grappling sports in their own have their own skill set that's so different from other sports, including football, right? It's no different than handing somebody a ball who's never played a ball sport and being like, throw this. And they're like, what am I supposed to do? Or, I did jujitsu for 6 years and I was liking it to, and I think I'm not the only person, liking it to swimming. Like throw somebody in the water who's never been in the water and they just flounder and look like an idiot. And that's basically how I felt for about the first 4 years, with fleeting moments in my last 2 years of not feeling that way and then going back to feeling like an idiot. So,
that's the wrestling was exactly the same thing. I pulled that one move off, like, oh yeah, this is easy. And then, 30 seconds later, I'm on my back and wondering why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was that I learned from that is, one, it was like at Maine South, which was a huge high school. Like that was a whole nother room of people I had never seen before. You know what I mean? Like, because I was in for lack of better, the basketball, football, baseball world, and there was a whole subset of kids in there that that I hadn't even seen in school before.
They didn't do wrestling. There wasn't a good crossover, or football. That wasn't a good crossover.
There were a handful of guys, but they were like our crazy guys. You know what I mean? Like but like the majority of the room were guys I had like, and I know it's kind of hard to imagine, especially coming from Forston, but like never seen before, like not even in passing or like in a
Oh yeah, yeah.
classroom, And so, anyways, it was awesome. And then coming back to football conditioning or even baseball conditioning after doing wrestling, I mean, Jesus, it was easy, and I love that. Now, even going back to lifting, like just lifting, I'm like, oh my God, this is 10 reps, that's nothing, 20 reps. Before that would have been hard, So I love that part of it. So to go back, and even with how my kids got into wrestling, because of Force, and I was looking for that thing, whether it was CrossFit, but I also tried to get wrestling started, and we had to share it with polo. And so I took a handful of kids down to polo and try to get them started in wrestling. And I brought my daughters with me, Autumn and Cadence, and so they kind of got forced into it there because they had to go with Dad.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Cadence loved it. Autumn honestly was really good at it too. But this one time they were going live, and I tried to keep those two apart. And one of the other coaches put them together, and Cadence they were like 8 years old, 7. She threw Autumn, and like one of those where like it was so violent that like the whole room stopped.
Oh yeah.
And then Autumn got embarrassed, and then Autumn was done after that. And then yeah, so anyways, so at some point Cadence was the only wrestler from Forston at the time. Because everybody else quit, and then she was the last one standing. And then we got some more kids going that eventually turned out pretty good. Like the Nelson family had a couple of the kids wrestle. Lucas with one arm wrestled. Did pretty well last year. He just graduated. Which is, I mean, that's an awesome story in and of itself. But anyways, we tried to do that. The point was to try to get wrestling going in Forston, especially for guys that weren't doing basketball. And then it just so happened that my daughter thrived in that. So and eventually we made our way to Dakota. But to go back to your story, like we never tried to push things. It kind of just came along. And even that Freeport soccer, they called it a club eventually, but we tried to keep it a Freeport thing as long as we could. And then basically what happened is as the girls got older, I think it was 6 girls and a goalie. Then it became like 8 girls and a goalie. And at some point when we got to 11, we didn't have enough people. And so we had to go to Rockford and do the Rockford Raptors travel route. So,
and I forgot that you guys, I always think of you being in Freeport, but you're out in Forston, and then the sports are a lot more limited than they are up here.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like my kids could play a new sport every 2 months up here because there's just so many options. It's a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why, I know everybody has their theories, but one of the reasons why we moved to Freeport was we saw what our kids were interested in. And we did our groundwork as far as, what if our kids are smart, are there options and opportunities at Freeport? If our kids aren't smart, are there options and things in Freeport? And then I know there's the idea that there's bad eggs in Freeport, but in my opinion, there's bad eggs everywhere. So if you don't teach your kids to stay out of trouble, they're going to find it no matter where they're at. So,
yeah.
And I learned that as a kid because at Maine South, that was a public school, and some parents sent their kids to the private schools to keep them out of trouble. And to me, though, they got in more trouble because there was a whole bunch of parents thinking the same thing. So you put all these hoodlums in the same spot, and you like condensed it into one area. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, either way, when you're in a bigger town, like it doesn't matter. You can't really segregate the town off regardless of what school they go to, too, right? Everybody's got a cousin or whatever.
Well, and like even in back when I first started teaching at Forston, if there was a kid that wanted to find trouble, they would find, if it wasn't at Forston, they would have found another small school where they could.
No, indeed, I did.
Okay, or they went to Freeport to find the trouble, or they went to. I mean, whatever. If whatever lesson you're trying to teach, you're not going to protect your kid from it. You got to teach it.
Teach the lesson. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know if that completely answers your questions, but I mean, we like, if our kids asked to play a sport, we got it into them, but give them access to it. But at some point, because they like the sports we started with, they kind of wanted to do more of that. We tried to push the at least two sports plus lifting. And when I say lifting, depending on the age. Um, and then at some point that just didn't work, depending on how good the kid got or what they wanted to do. And so,
okay, Cadence did soccer and wrestling for most of her high school career, right? Or all of it?
All the way, yeah. She finished actually because Autumn got hurt. She was playing soccer. She was only playing soccer to be with Autumn, and then Autumn got hurt. So Cadence was still playing soccer when she'd already signed at Iowa. And I'm like, can we just end this? I mean,
Yeah.
she was only doing it for but she actually got all state and stuff. So I mean, she was good, but her mind was clearly somewhere else.
Focused, yeah. That's good. And then Autumn only played soccer for.
She did, She was she stayed with the lifting. Like she was really good at Olympic lifting and stuff like that, and didn't want to compete. Again, that's not her thing to like. She really does not want to be in front of everybody, so to speak.
Well, and that's one that's a little bit more fun if you have like a club too. And I don't think there's not many places where you're going to find a club for Olympic lifting either, right?
No. But I don't think she would ever do like a competition. Like she would lift with, like she enjoys lifting with the team for her college sports. That's something that she's really thrived in. That because you didn't have that in high school, where the girls we never got it going really at Freeport, where they were lifting on a regular basis. But she did do flag football for 2 years. Now I think about it, and that's actually how she tore her ACL was flag football. Not soccer.
Really?
Yeah, it was contact, like last play. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
One more play, and it was one of the last plays, and it was like her last. I think it was her last practice of her last flag football. It was ridiculous. Yeah, the more.
Just crazy, man. We did at our gym. Was it like a couple Labor Days ago? We did like a sports day. And so we played soccer. We had like rules that the ball had to stay like below your waist though, because we didn't want anybody taking a face shot. We did that and like spike ball and Hoover ball inside.
Yeah.
I think, and then I think I even mixed in like doing you and a partner do like 400-meter carries when you're resting. You're not doing one of those sports. And we had one girl who, Lindsay, who played a lot of sports, played soccer growing up. Just somebody ran into her knee and blew out her ACL, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I've tried that with football, and then like two kids, shin each other, and they're both out for like 4 weeks. I'm like, I like this if the kids were having fun, but like I can't stop. And it was, don't kick each other like that when you don't have freedom. Do you know what I mean? But like you're also asking them to compete, so like. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough the risk reward is always interesting.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was their ACL or if it was something else, but we had some kind of problem.
Yeah.
But let's see here.
So I mean, to answer your question, we never pushed it. We looked for their interests, and then we kind of followed it from there. Like kind of read the tea leaves.
Okay. So and then how about the other kids?
Rudy's probably more normal, traditional. Like she would say, I want to try dance and I want to try wrestling. And then, okay, so wrestling was a good one. She was terrible. She was great at practice, but then she just got awful on the mat and she cried all the time. But she didn't want to work at it. She didn't want to get better. So when she said she didn't want to do it, when it ended, we're fine. She tried. And I do think she got better at everything because she tried wrestling.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And
at least an understanding.
Yeah, and just it's hard. So, and the fact that she I was proud of her that she did the hard part fine, which was practice. She didn't want to. She didn't enjoy the win. I don't even know how to explain it, but she kind of like went like a limp fish when she competed. So whatever that means. She found dance, and then we just kind of. She never did club dance, or she did a little bit when she was little, but she just did the high school dance. And then she's really pushed herself to get better and like do the extra stuff. So like she doesn't lift like the other kids, but she also does a lot more with flexibility and things like that. So we've kind of let her slide on the lifting rules of the family, but
Well, it's still,
So,
I mean, if you're doing flexibility, stretching breaks down the muscle tissue in a similar way to that lifting does. There's a guy on the internet who's he does like a bunch of heavy lifting and does a bunch of stretching. It's like his Instagram's name's like Juji Mufu or something, but he'll do like the splits in between two chairs while holding like 135 pounds over his head.
sure.
But I think he does like lifting on day one, stretching on day two, and then rests on day three because this to truly add flexibility, he noticed that it breaks him down in a way similar to lifting, and he shouldn't be training afterwards like that. So
That makes sense. There's got to
so
be a recovery period. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So, and then Trey, he's tried, well, he's been wrestling all along. And during COVID, he got dragged everywhere with Cadence. So I'm just glad he didn't quit then because he was getting his ass handed to him because we were going to tournaments that were like elite national tournaments. And I'm like, oh, well, you're just sitting at
jump
home.
in.
I'll throw you in there. And these other kids are like, because like other people were treating it like that was the reason why they're going. So those kids were like making weight, and Trey was just kind of showing up, weighing in, and he was fighting, whatever.
Mhm.
So he truly learned on the fly of wrestling and trying his which is amazing. Their styles are completely different, but his is one he developed out of survival.
Mhm.
But like he tried baseball, which that was I loved baseball as a kid and obviously coached it, but like the way it's set up now, I hate it. It's butt ass backwards.
Okay.
Especially coming out of the wrestling world where I knew nothing, learned everything about wrestling, and then we got involved in baseball. Wrestling, you practice 90% of the time and compete 10.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is probably 95% compete, 5% practice.
Oh man.
And that's stupid. So anyway, so we tried that during COVID. Again, we just didn't have things to do. There was the town ball here. He kind of liked that. And then we tried the travel ball. And yeah, I mean, he worked on it, he did the extra stuff. But at some point he's like, I don't, and he doesn't like standing around. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's high energy kids. I think baseball's, it's too boring for them. I've noticed,
yeah,
it's, which is weird. I'd be interested to see if my kids ever like it, even though I loved it, but, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think all of our attention spans are lower and stuff like that. So I think sports even trying to, I mean, even me, I try not to be on TikTok. I try not to be on Instagram and YouTube Shorts and all that stuff, but the kids send it to me and whatever. And I notice even I'm like watching something like, God, this is long. And it's like 2.5 minutes,
Yeah.
like, but I got to imagine that's affecting sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
this kind of dives into, it's a question I already had written down, but it came up a little bit. It's like free play versus structured training. And then, I guess my thought is I was listening to like you talk about Rudy and Trey as well, but, you think it's better to have them compete at a lower level, lower frequency, and let the kid dig in, into their own, say, accessory work, than they give them everything that they can handle in structured and not let them kind of have a little bit of a, I don't know what you call it. They get to be assertive with their own training as well.
yeah. So let's see here. Well, see, what's tough to answer that is wrestling is kind of like a combination of it all. Anyways, like you can't. I mean, it's structured, but like once you're out there, you're figuring out for yourself how you're going to succeed. You know what I mean? And that's why I think Cadence. Like just real quick, Cadence is a very structured, methodical. I'm going to wear you down and win 4-0. And then Trey is bouncing off the walls, flipping around, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I said, partly out of survival, but that's how he's navigated his journey through wrestling. So within the sport itself, you have that kind of you can be taught all these moves all you want, but you got to have the confidence to use those moves. So how
develop your own style, your own energy systems, everything like that. I love fighting and wrestling because there's so much individuality in how you go about winning in the sport, and you can literally pick the perfect system for you. and then try to tweak it to face opponents who have similar or differing systems. But there's the explosive guys who will smash you in the first 30 seconds and try to win right away, right? And then there's the people who maybe are a little more enduring, and they're just like, I'll just settle in and he'll get tired, and then there's obviously combinations of that: tall, short, skinny, fat. There's everything, and it's awesome.
And you got to change, and sometimes you got to just eyeball the guy, especially in tournaments, in these national tournaments. You don't have time to like do a scouting report or anything. So you look at him real quick. He's got long arms. He's probably going to do this or whatnot. But so now, as far as like once they're home, that was on their own to kind of come up with extra stuff. I tried to never push those things. So like Autumn's, we use Starbucks cups for cones, and she's kicking in the backyard, and we would provide things like their soccer nets, and there's been a punching bag, but that never got used. We've had those things around and kind of see how they do with it. You know what I mean? So I would say that like the coaching aspect, we would set that up. But then once we got home, other than they had to lift 3 days a week.
Okay.
And then we would modify. That was our rule. Like if you're going to be an athlete, that's the bare minimum.
And that's you're taking that from kind of like a European or probably even more so Eastern European mentality of like train the body so it can handle the sport. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you can't dedicate yourself to 3 days a week, then this is a hobby for you. And now I say that, but like, so like Trey's got, we've got 2 sheets right now. Like there's when he's cutting weight or like watching his weight, there's this sheet, which is probably like 70 to 90% of maybe not even that high, probably 70% of what he normally would do weight wise. And we limit the rest times. And then now when you're not cutting, right, here's our other sheet, and this is going to be heavier, and we've got all this data so we can kind of have, so he knows what he's working on. So that's pretty structured. But like I say that, but I'm like, okay, what kind of warm up do you want? And right now he wants to be faster. So we're working like a sprint plyo warm up. And then I've kind of talked to them about, okay, we got to do some kind of pulling. What's your pulling? What do you want to do? It's like, there's no magical pulling thing that's going to make you a better wrestler. So we just need to pull. How do you want to do it? So, so I guess that's, teaching them why we're doing it. Now the girls are doing their college stuff, and every once in a while they have a question, but for the most part, I stay out of that. So.
Yeah. Well, that goes into another good question of how do you handle the, I don't know if you call it a clash, but maybe differing of opinions with coaches and yourself.
Yeah, I tried, and with college, I don't ever question. I'm not going to question them. I don't. I do think some of the sheets are made complicated on purpose to justify their existence. But whatever. There's nothing bad on there. I just don't know if it has to be that complicated. You know what I mean? Then I don't know where I got this from, but like my job, I'm not going to question the coach because I don't want to do that to my kids. Whatever the coach did, we adjust from there. So, like, to be honest with you, my kids will never do extra conditioning. Most coaches are doing tons of conditioning. Like,
they're covering that. Yeah,
that's covered, right? So we're not going to do that unless we see a problem. But and I would say Jess and I lean towards we were in good shape. We were normally going to outlast our opponents in our sports. So whatever that's hereditary or not, that's normally not a weakness. So we don't spend any more time there unless we have to. So,
well, if your kids are training at all on their own, they're probably going to be all right in most of those.
Yeah. There's put it this way: if the few times that Autumn or Caden, not Autumn, well, yeah, Autumn, Caden's or Trey has said I didn't feel like I was in shape, they fixed it. You know what I mean? Now Rudy, on the other hand, she might linger in it a little bit. She's okay being a little winded. So
yeah, that's all right.
I'll tell a story real quick. So this is my Rudy. I love Rudy. She's gonna be more successful than all of us as far as hair and dress, or we call that cosmetology. But there's this one time where she went 1-on-1 with Cadence, Cadence had the ball and Rudy stuck her. I mean, stayed with her, and Cadence doesn't let you win. So I pulled her aside and I'm like, Rudy, that was awesome. Like, that was incredible. And she's like, yeah, but it was hard. So, I mean, that's just her personality. You know what I mean? Like, she's not going to go there unless
Mhm.
like she has to. You know what I mean? And she hasn't had to do that. So, just her mentality, and that's fine. Like I said, she's going to make more money than the rest of us. So we'll be too busy running sprints somewhere. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. But I guess digging into that topic even more. I mean, have you ever had times with coaches where you, not even strength conditioning coaches? I'm talking about just like the sport coaches where you disagree or your kids are upset, and how do you handle that? Because I know you're very aware as a parent and making sure that you don't, because you've been a coach before, right? And you don't want people undercutting your authority, and you're
yeah.
very good at not undercutting other people's authority. So how do you handle that?
So what we've always, so our like general rule and this is like we talk about all the time, is like, I don't care how you do, but like make the room better.
Hmm.
So if coach is having you do something that you kind of know from our conversations that is not functional, it's not going to help you win. Do something better than somebody else. Help somebody else through it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? There's going to be a time in practice, where, Cadence was going sometimes from OTC training at the Olympic Training Center, and then come into a high school practice where she has to do 100 takedowns to finish practice. You know what I mean? Like, it's just survival. And
Hmm.
so then you just have to mentally help them. Okay, why did coach do that? All right, listen, coach has to worry about the guys that can't even stand straight.
Hmm.
He knows you know what you're doing. I know this sucks, but help that other person,
Hmm.
that needs to learn, and they can learn from you.
Yeah.
Now that still sucks for our daughter or our son or whatever, but we also have to understand where the coach, he
Why that's
can't,
there? Yeah.
yeah, he can't differentiate between all these guys, and he's kind of hoping on you to you to help that corner as best you
Hmm.
can.
Also, probably a good time to work on like your weakest takedown too, right? Like you could look at it as
Yeah, you could, but at some point, like,
hundreds a lot.
yeah, 100's a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
at some point, you're in the corner, just bang your head against the wall. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's, yeah, again, you're coming from one place, super high energy, 100 A list, not A list, like A personalities. Like, everybody's self motivated.
Hmm.
Coach says jump through the wall, you're gonna jump through the wall, and then you go to a high school one where, like, some kids might not have their shoes.
Hmm.
So, um, so yeah, what we'd always do is I try to work around the coach.
Hmm.
And if, obviously, again, if we've never had to, I know they're gonna do extra conditioning. That's gonna be hard on your feet. It's gonna be hard on your knees. We're not gonna do more of that when we go do
Come.
workout. Maybe we'll take out box jumps. Tell me what coach had you do today, and we'll adjust our workout based on what coach had you do, or PE had you do.
Hmm.
PE did 100 push-ups. Okay, we don't need to do any pressing today.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
that covered. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's ever been, like, honestly, I'd probably be more mad at PE sometimes, where, like, my daughter's got world team trials on Saturday, and they're going to play fucking kickball or dodgeball on Monday, and you're taking a risk. Like, I remember when I went to Forston and Jonathan was going to D1, and he's playing fucking pickup basketball with Johnny Dumbshit in PE.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just sit down.
Yeah.
Go sit over there.
Too much at risk.
Yeah, man, you got
Yeah.
so much, and you've worked how long for this? And Johnny Dipshit, he's probably in his boots still from class, and he's going to kick you in the shins on accident because he doesn't know
Hmm.
how to coordinate. So that kind of stuff is more scary as a parent. But I think also as a coach, like, I didn't allow my football players to participate in homecoming activities because God forbid you get hurt. But also that's for somebody else.
Hmm.
PE is for someone else to thrive. That could be the highlight of their athletic career. Could be the time that hit 3 threes in PE class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need it. So, but
Yeah. It's tough to navigate all those waters because you're trying to, when I did jujitsu, we do a lot of we do some conditioning,
Mhm.
And, obviously I'm working out that day afterwards, doing a whole
Sure.
CrossFit workout. And I'm like, oh shit, I just wish I could just, do skill work or whatever. But, you look at it and you're like, yeah, but everybody else in this room needs everything. So
Sure.
just because you're going to do it, we'll adjust if we need to, or if we do a bunch of burpees or whatever.
Yeah, try. And I even started doing that in my own training. Like if I'm gonna go load hay, I probably don't need to do a whole bunch of pulling today. Like,
Yeah.
a 4,000-meter row, I probably don't need to do that today. Maybe I can do a sprint or,
Yeah.
at some point I'm like, okay, I'm gonna adjust my training because of my life,
Yeah.
but um yeah, yeah. So a lot of that's built in, like even yeah. So we have that, that framework of our workouts for the next 4 to 8 weeks, but then if life gets in the way, then you adjust from there. So I think
Mhm.
that's what any good trainer would do. So
Awesome. Well, here's one I'm super interested in, especially having my own kids. But how do you keep your own ego out of your kids' performance, and you know, how do you check yourself as a parent? Because I know you're sitting out there, you want them to do well, and it's tough to watch your kids struggle, even though
Mhm.
to be perfectly honest, they grow through struggle more than anything. But
Sure.
that doesn't mean it's fun to watch it.
Okay, so as young as possible, I tried to get out of the corners in wrestling. Like if I had, which I was lucky because we got involved in the Dakota Wrestling Club, so there was all these dads that knew way more than me.
What do you mean? What's
Or
corners? Is that where the coaches are coaching?
yeah, it's like
Okay.
you're representing. I think like boxing, you got your
Mhm.
corner. um, and then like I've had the goal of not talking during a match. Like literally, I'm not going to say a word. Like it's a personal battle that I have because there's nothing intelligent or worthwhile that's going to come out of my mouth.
Take them
That
down. Take them down. Like they
stand
don't
up,
know. Yeah.
please. Yeah. So like even now with like cadence and stuff, I go as far away as possible and I try to find a pole and I jam my chin into the pole and just squeeze the pole so I don't talk. So
Okay. Yeah.
um that's my methodology. Like Jess and I don't sit next to each other during the matches. We separate. So because in case she says something I don't say, I'll tell her to be quiet. Just the way we navigate
Yeah. Okay.
survive.
No, I think
So
that's
I
big.
basically got to the point where not talking is the best thing,
Mhm.
especially during the competition.
Yeah. No, it's
Um,
I think that's powerful. My parents were never ones to say anything from the stands, and I don't know. You never had to worry about it or anything like that. You only had to listen for the coach. Even if my dad's pretty knowledgeable of sports, but even if he's over there saying something, all it's doing is distracting me from whatever the coach is trying to tell me, right?
yeah, yeah, and it becomes emotional because you're saying it as a parent. So like, I mean, I say that's my goal, and I've gotten a lot better, but like, there's been definitely times where I screwed up because I helped coach the soccer team. So
Mhm.
with Autumn Cadence, and I was there really for conditioning and therapy and a little bit of strength training and whatnot. But I think Autumn's freshman year or something, I tried to say something once and she snapped. And I'm like, I'm just not going to talk, like unless if I need to, like, and it's got to
Mhm.
be different. And then what I really can do is I can relay what coach is trying to say to her later on.
Mhm.
And so that was like coming to Jesus point in my brain that I can't be football coach Denny to my daughters. I can talk to other athletes, and that's fine. And sometimes it was better coming from me than coach because one I didn't know it was soccer, so I had to hear coach say it. But he's got 11 people to navigate, and then I could pull someone aside as I'm therapying or training and be like, okay, what coach was trying to tell you was let's do this, and
Mhm.
I could dumb it down because I'm dumb in soccer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, that's great.
And coach, to be honest with you, probably Coach Namio, by the way, probably forgot that a bit of advice he gave that one student by the time you're 2 quarters later.
Yeah, you get a
You
chance to actually have a one-on-one with them. It's hard to
yeah,
remember,
yeah.
right?
Something you would cover in film or something like that. But now we're in the game and we can actually get this better this game. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So, what was the original question, man? I forgot.
Basically, just how do you keep your own ego out?
Oh, yeah. And again, well, again, I've been lucky that most of the times our kids have been pretty successful. So like But like Trey, when he was coming with us with Cadence's tournaments, what was there a glimmer of hope in there that like he was getting better at something?
Mm-hmm.
And there was always something that he was getting better at, and we made sure when we left that he felt like it was fun, and that he wants to go to practice on Monday.
Mm-hmm. So you'd pump him up about whatever you saw that he did well on
yeah,
the way home. Then you're saying,
yeah, in the process, or well, for him, unfortunately, because he's normally out by the time Cadence is still going, so we had plenty of time to debrief still at the tournament, But and again, wrestling is a different world. So like, if you're out now, you're running around with 800 other kids playing, being a kid. You're running hallways at hotels, and so that I cannot be I cannot be happier with our wrestling experience, with the family of wrestling and the atmosphere of wrestling. Obviously, there's some dark spots of every sport. If you go too far down a rabbit hole, like cutting or something like that. But how is that any different than like baseball guys throwing their arm out when they're 12 because they pitched 3 tournaments or whatever? But again, if you do it right, if you're, I hate the word cutting. If you eat healthy and then time your meals right, it's not that bad. Now, is it uncomfortable? Sure. But how little of discomfort do our kids have in their life?
Yeah. I mean, only self-imposed for the most part, right?
Well, I mean, I want to think about this. Like, so if you told the average person on the street, okay, my daughter ate a bowl of food at 4:00. When I say a bowl, like half of a Chipotle bowl, so like a good chunk of meat, more than the average person eats in a meal. And then she didn't eat again until noon the next day. Okay, how is that any different than the girl that stayed up all night and slept in till noon?
Yeah.
And forgot to eat by noon. You know what I mean? Like, the only difference is that we're saying, okay, we're going to eat at noon, because you got weigh-ins at 11:45.
Yeah.
So whatever, I mean, we've been on guard for any like eating issues or anything like that we would have been anyways, even if we weren't wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, are you counting the almonds? Are you, why are you doing that? Is there a purpose to it, or are you just seeing what you can do to your body? You know what I mean? So, anyways, so those are all. So as far as ego, I think Jess and I are good at checking ourselves as far as, making it about us, and I don't think. But I also think coaching helps with that, because are you yelling at a kid because you're going to lose the game as a coach, or because that kid can do better and that he's not focused on what we worked on all week? You know what I mean? Now, if it's something that I didn't coach you guys, I learned this from Coach Wood. If we didn't practice it, then it ain't gonna work. That's our fault. So then that's our fault. We got to eat it, and we got to say it's our fault.
Yeah. So I guess I'll throw out a scenario for you and see how you'd respond. But like, say you do go to one of those earlier tournaments, or just any tournament, and say your kid gets whooped up on, and you're on the ride home, and your kid's obviously disappointed. I sucked. How do you handle those situations?
All right. So, as much as possible, the car is illegal. Like, that's off limits. You're not talking about it. Competition.
Okay. So the car ride is not the time for it.
No, once we leave the tournament, that should be over. Like, so what we do, and actually we learned this more with Traden more than Cadence, but Traden has to walk the full, whatever the arena is or whatever. After coach talks to him, he's got to go do a walk, win or lose, and then we'll talk after that. Now, this took years of development, because Traden, up until about 6th or 7th grade, was still like a better word, out of control with losing. But that's because eventually we started with like, in 5 minutes, you need to be quiet. You need to stop crying in 5 minutes, and then we'll talk. You're missing out on learning from coach because you're crying, or whatever. Took all those conversations. But now it's win or lose. We do the walk, and then we come back, debrief, and then it's over.
Yeah. Well, and just so everybody knows, wrestling is probably one of the hardest sports to lose in, especially as a young boy. You're out there in damn near your underwear, one-on-one. and you're getting held down against the mat against your will. Like that's not exactly an easy pill to swallow for anybody.
Well, and
you
and,
know?
and especially with coaching other sports, like even good kids are like the ref or the other team or the parent. In wrestling, you got no one to blame,
Mhm.
and you lost because that dude whooped your ass
Yeah,
or
we
you
all
did
saw
something
it.
stupid. Yeah, and yeah, there's no hiding. You didn't trip. There's no slipping.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful in that, man. There's no if you're gonna bitch. It's funny. Trey made it to the finals of IK, which really had a great tournament. IKF WF tournament in Rockford, a huge tournament. He lost the finals. The other kid was a better wrestler than him, beat him, and he was holding in the tears. When I heard him say this from in the stands, he said, "That guy's bigger than me," and the coach just said, "Shut up," and like slapped him on the head. And then he tried to say it to us too, and I'm like, "Dude, you weigh in. Like,
Yeah,
no, he's not bigger. If anything, you look bigger than him." So. But what was happening, you could see the thought bubble of like, why did I lose? And I had to come up with, he was pulling out of that bag,
Mm.
and what do you know? Oh, it is whatever the excuse is. It don't, even if it's true, nobody cares. You
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah.
what
No,
are you gonna do about it?
if you're if you're lucky, you'll have people around you that'll tell you that, right? In
Yeah.
life in general, like I think we've talked about this, but probably the best lesson my dad ever taught me in sports was my dad was really into sports. Loved watching them, everything. Didn't push him on us kids very much, but he also umpired slow pitch softball, played slow pitch softball when he was younger. Umpired slow pitch softball for forever, basically until he died.
Yeah.
And I can remember, complaining about an umpire calling a strike and me getting struck out, and he's just like, "Why didn't you swing the bat and hit the ball? Why would you just let him like take it off your shoulder? Like you're there
Yeah.
to hit the ball. That's your job. He's there to call balls and strikes. If you don't like the way he called it, then just get the ball on the bat and hit a foul ball. Do something, but don't
Yeah.
let him be in control." And he was right. Like you could say, well, it's terrible advice from a sporting perspective, but from a life perspective, there's no better thing that you're ever going to learn other than I need to be in control. And, even, failure is all on me.
Yeah. There's always a way even the worst call at the end of a game, like don't leave it in the ref's hands, right? Like
Yeah.
could
He should have won before that.
Yeah. I mean, are there times I'm yelling at a ref at a game? Absolutely. When I feel they're not doing their job correctly, like
Mhm.
one, you didn't mean to make that call because you just try to make the game about you, or like fundamentally because I know how like the refs are supposed to call it or who's supposed to make the call. Like, no, you screwed up,
Mhm.
and I'm letting you know that I know that you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But like a holding call, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's life. You're gonna call for it. Sometimes it's by design of the play. Like I love running outside, but guess what? When we run outside, it's like 25% higher chance you're gonna call for holding. So that's part of the risk of the
just
play.
the way the blocking happens or something like that. The
Yeah, well, things are out in the open.
jersey
You're
gets
closer.
grabbed.
You're closer to the ref.
Oh, you can see it better.
Yeah. So, there's all kinds of things that you could have done to prevent that from happening. What color gloves you're wearing? Are you got freaking pink gloves on? I call holding too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're drawing attention to your hands and what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
no, that's, yeah. So all those are lessons of if you don't want something to happen, then what could you have done better to not have that happen? If that's the way you don't want to lose,
Yeah.
to swing the bat or swing earlier at a better pitch.
Yeah. So yeah, I've always been extremely thankful for that life lesson. And it's just always made you, it doesn't reduce you to a victim, because ultimately once the ref gets involved, you can hope it goes your way, you can hope it for somebody else, but it's 50-50,
Yep, absolutely.
So, let's see here. Have you ever had times where you felt like you wanted it more than your kids? And if so, how did you know? And then how did you adjust or back off? Or if not, what are the signs that you know that your kids wanted it more than you still?
Um, yeah,
This is from my buddy JR, by the way. So
yeah, I don't, I mean, we're really lucky. Like, we've been really lucky that our kids are pretty self-driven. Now, if they fail and they're upset, then we ask them, okay, what are you going to do? You know, like just today, Trey got fourth at Dvorak tournament, and he wanted to spend extra time with Josh watching film. You know, that was him. Now, I might have years ago said, you know, we need to, why don't we watch that match with Josh? But then he's got to go ask Josh, and he's got to have the film ready and do all the. I'm not pulling it up and saying, hey, Josh, watch this for Trey. You know what I mean? So he's got to be the man about it and go and ask. And Cadence would do that also. So I'd say the bigger things that conversations we've had is, so Rudy wanted to do soccer and track. And so I set up her workouts for her. Like, you got to be able to train for both of these. And then she went and did track, and she got hurt or she didn't do well. And then she was upset. And I'm like, well, but did you do the things I told you needed to do in order to not win, but like be healthy? You know, she also was our least ambitious about eating as much as she should, or making sure she has breakfast, or, you know, maybe she has a half a bar instead of a whole bar, whatever, you know, like least disciplined in those kinds of things. And so then we said, well, until you do those things, you can't do both. You got to pick one, because you're not doing it right. And it wasn't about us. It was about her following through. So, I do think there's been times where we kind of read our daughters or son coming off the mat and be like, okay, how are they reacting after this loss? And there's never been one where they don't care, but like, if they're broken, we're not going to continue to break them. Now, if they don't, I think it's more if they start coming up, the Cadence has never done this, but like if Trey throws those excuses out, we've made sure to nip those in the bud, because we know he wants to win. We know he hates to lose, but is he going to address the things that caused the loss in this case, or can he identify those? I would say the ego thing is during the match. That's where I got to check ourselves. Is in the match, in the fight, are we yelling for them? And if it is, they don't need it. So then we're only yelling for ourselves. So you know what I mean? We're trying to be involved when we got nothing in this moment. We have no role.
Yeah. Have you ever decided to take like time off or something like that, just because you know, after a tournament or something like that, or maybe just skip a tournament because you're just like, it just doesn't seem like they have it right now, and I'd rather see them get back to loving it than.
Oh yeah. So with Cadence, so during COVID, it was tough because in COVID, it was about the time when girls wrestling was just about to take off. She was at an age where like she was beating almost every girl she was facing. And then if there was a loss, it was close. And then what I was able to do online was figure out, okay, so who did that girl wrestle? Like, how do we find her? Where's she at? So that we're not wasting our time. But at the same time, we wanted to support girls wrestling. So it was tough because like if you don't go, then there's not enough girls there. Does it make sense? So like,
yeah, then it
at the same time, we don't want to just go and like whoop up on people, you know. So so it was kind of tough. So like, what we tried to do is like, they started doing was like they would have Olympian type girls run a camp and then a tournament. Like those, if Cadence wants to go, we're going, because she's going to see an older girl that's doing what she wants to do. So that's worth it, even if the tournament isn't. So it's like Kayla Miracle, who now she gets to wrestle with once a year or twice a year at Iowa, and was in the Olympics last. Like she saw her when she was like 10. And there was another girl out of Lockport that Cadence was at her like viewing in like the 2012 Olympics maybe. So Cadence was there, and they got to be coached by her later on in life. So I mean that was kind of cool to see that growth of girls wrestling. But then so at some point though, we said, okay, travel like super long, like 2 hours. We're only gonna do that once a month.
Okay.
So like I don't care who calls. that says they want her on their team. Once a month, we're going to make this travel trip. Okay.
Which
Now, wrestling. Go ahead. Sorry.
in reality, those probably are happening every single weekend, right?
Oh yeah, at some point,
or 3 out of 4.
Yeah, we could have gone, anywhere from like Utah to Pittsburgh and there would have been high level people there, but at what cost to life?
Yeah.
Um,
or enjoyment of the sport, even, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like our kids, they don't really want to do, like, we go to Wisconsin Dells, they only kind of want to do the Dell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's around it, where other parents are like, well, let's do the Dell thing, and then they got a tournament next day and the kid doesn't do nothing because they're tired, because they've been eating shit and going down the slide and drinking shitty water, whatever,
Yeah, no, I get it. That, like,
so, like, what's the point?
When you're having fun, you're having fun, and when you're working, you're working.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta compartmentalize, and we probably didn't make as many good friends with our club parents because that we're not. It's not us. We're not doing this because we want to have a beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna drink at one of your guys' weddings or something like that. I'm not gonna drink because my kid is in wrestling.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's just our philosophy. But so that was how we did Cadence. Now soccer is a little bit different because you're on a team. So it was harder to say, okay, we're only gonna do this once a month, because you can't. Once we joined Raptors, we kind of gave up our ownership of that control, and that was hard as a strength coach, as a competitive coach. Like, there's way too much soccer being played for the health of the girls. And so that was hard to sit back and allow to happen, but I think we navigated it as best we could.
Okay.
So and that was probably going back, we probably wouldn't have done all the travel stuff for that. We would have been more selective. But again, it was COVID messed things up because there was a system being put in place by USA Soccer called ODP. I think it's called ODP. It was more of like the European model, where you're going to, like, start here with all these girls, and then you kind of teach them soccer. I mean, it makes sense, like almost like an academy type thing.
Okay.
By regions and all that stuff. But all that died during COVID. And so then what took over was the private equity leagues, which it was all about money. So think like AAU for basketball. That took over everything. So now it's just basically all-star teams fighting against all-star teams to be the next all-star team. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just has different letters. And I'm doing this really poorly, but from what I can gather, that this ECNL thing took over for what ODP would have been. And then that's private equity. It's all about making money.
Well, how does that differ? I guess
you're just setting up tournaments and having people play. There's less development of the actual athlete by the actual club, because your job is just to feed the tournaments.
Okay. All right. Okay. So they all kind of work together.
Yeah. And there's pressure. It's like, and it's hard as a club to be like, hey, no, we're going to slow down and we're just going to work on foot skills, because now you're racing to, like, keep up with the Joneses, and you got to attract people from here, and you got to say you went to this tournament or else you're not cool enough. Does that kind of make sense?
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, supposedly that's where the coaches are at. And the coaches, I mean, Autumn did get seen through it, but wrestling's a lot easier, man. There's like, you show up at this tournament and you do well, they're going to find you. You know what I mean? Like, and you can build up your schedule to that. You can, what do you call that? Work backwards. So tournament here on May 15th.
That's where we want to do good.
Yeah. We're going to back up from there. So maybe every month we'll try to hit something that's competitive. Those will be tests, and we'll, improve off of those.
Well, and wrestling by nature is a little bit harder on the body, like immediately noticeable, right? So it's a little bit harder to play as much as soccer, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because, like, yeah, it's just different. Soccer is pretty. To be honest with you, like high-end soccer, you should only play twice a week, like compete.
Yeah, but you can kind of, I don't know, it's easier to, well, one, because of the team aspect. Here's the thing. If you're not doing your best, you're not going to sign up for a wrestling tournament to get the shit kicked out of you in front of a bunch of people, right? Like
I agree with that, but
you're going to make sure that you
you'd be
feel pretty good.
surprised. Like even some of these like top end girls that are high school girls now, they're doing like college tournaments, which is great. But like they did it like back to back. Like I'm like, what? That's awesome. But like, who cares right now? Like, yeah, you did that, but like her shoulders are gonna be jacked up, her hips are gonna be like I'm
Yeah, it's
looking at
not.
some of these girls and like they don't walk right. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? They're 15, 16 years old, super high end athletes. You're just blowing through joints.
Yeah.
You know, eventually that's gonna catch up to you, you know. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
different spots, but that's just where we ended up, and that was if nothing else, that was so we could make sure all our kids were getting that once a month thing. Um, you know, and we weren't doing 4 weeks in a row with one kid and then saying another one, nah, that doesn't count. Like that's not big enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, that's tough, especially with four, like, right? Because theoretically you could have four needing to go four different directions and only two parents.
Yeah, we've had some interesting what do you call that? Life 360. You
Mhm.
familiar with that app? Where you got
I know a little bit about it.
yeah, but it shows where all your kids are at. And like we've had some interesting posts where one's in South America, one's in
Oh yeah.
Iowa, one's in Pittsburgh, one's in Wisconsin Dells, or whatever, something like that. But
Oh my God, that sounds stressful. I don't know why.
it
It's
is.
just
It is.
crazy to think your kids being all over the place. Well, cool. Well, we just crossed the hour threshold, so I think I'll let you go. But I guess last question: did you train at all today? And if so, what'd you do?
I did. So this morning, I think I told you I'm doing that like sets of 20.
Mhm.
That's all I do. So, well, my fault. You'd be mad at me. My warm up is probably about 40 minutes every day. My hips and shoulders.
I didn't know it could get any longer from back in the day, but
Oh my God. I don't do as much band stuff, but like I have had some major knee stuff and shoulder stuff. So like it just makes me feel good about my life. So I do
mhm.
that. Then do like a 3x10 of my fault. 3 rounds, 3 sets of 10 of like so today I did like pull downs, um, scap retractions, and what was the third thing? Oh, snatch high pulls. So to warm up my back. And then I did reverse dumbbell incline pull 20 times. Uh, did 20 with my hands under, 20 where I pull up against the bench, max set of pull-ups, and then reverse flies. And then I'm done. Did some
Okay.
like plyometrics after that, make sure I can still bounce on my feet and stuff. So my actual workouts, like lifting part, is only about 20, 25 minutes now, depending on
Okay.
how fast I'm moving. But my leg day still sucks. Well, actually, every day sucks. It used to be like I looked forward to the upper body, but now my weights are getting heavy enough to where like it still sucks.
hmm
But my legs, uh, leg days, like I literally got to say, all right, I have to do this because this is the only hard thing I have today. And then I get underneath the bar and I try to get to 20. So,
Yeah. So,
um,
so you do 20 for back squats too?
yeah. So what I ends up doing though, so I did 225 for 15.
Mhm.
Um, and so like I started at 10 and each week I'm moving up one. And
Oh, okay.
sometimes
Cool.
I get a burst of 2 in there if I'm feeling really saucy, but
hmm
and then once I hit 20, then I add 10 pounds.
Okay. I like that. That's
Um,
cool. That's a
yeah.
that's a different way of going about the 20 rep thing. It's
Yeah. Well, he has a whole thing. The Russian guy that came up with this thing,
which
where
one?
at some point you drop down to tens.
Who's the Russian? Is it
I'd have to look it up. I ran into this at a lifting.
Pavel
Um,
Pavel Tatsuni?
dude, I have no idea. I'm
Uh,
terrible.
was is he a big kettlebell guy?
I have no idea. I ran into it at a
Oh man,
football lifting thing.
you're killing me here.
Whitewater is big on it. They do it with all their athletes,
hmm
but like I've done it occasionally with my football guys. Like if we run out of time or
hmm
something, or like it's picture day, we got 20 minutes to lift, and they like it. But if we did it all the time, they'd hate it.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
little too. Yeah, I can
it's
totally see that.
boring. The
Yeah.
first time I did it like 10 years ago, I'm like, this works, but like I'm bored. So I went back to CrossFit, or traditional
hmm
CrossFit, and then nah, I just kept on getting hurt, whether in life or actually more in life. I never really got hurt in CrossFit, but or if I did get hurt during CrossFit, it was because I remember falling in the pasture. Like, oh, that came back right there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so anyways, so yeah, so I ended up always trying to modify around my injuries, and I finally said, you know what, this is easy for me to modify. I'm on 3 hard movements of legs today. What doesn't hurt,
Mhm.
and I can still go hard and still feel that like suckiness.
Mhm.
Like I need to start filming it because like 10 through 15, I'm pretty sure I'm counting right, but like there's times I'm like I don't know if I count it right because I'm like in that zone of like in the man cave, trying to get
Yep.
out of it. 15 through 20, I'm pretty solid. I remember those, but like 10 through 15, I'm like, I could have skipped one there. I don't know, but
Yeah.
so it's
No,
been working. I've been doing it a couple years now, and I feel as fit as I ever have. So
we're uh we're going through a 20 rep bench press cycle, which is a little unheard of, but um 20 rep squat cycles are like, well, a lot of people do that, but we've been trying out the 20 rep bench just to build up some endurance.
uh-huh.
And it's cool. It's nice to, you warm up and then you got one hard set and then you're done,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And yeah, it's good. We've just been, I told everybody to start ridiculously light and make sure, you shouldn't even have to pause at all. And then slowly as we build up, you start to have to throw a pause and then maybe 2 pauses. And,
yep.
but once you start getting to the couple pauses, the next week is not looking great. It's,
You just swore, you mean? Or
no, just like, I mean, you start to just hit the wall, right? After
oh yeah, yeah,
it's all about, because a lot of it is about how fast you can move the barbell too. Um,
sure.
so if you start to get where it's heavy enough that you start moving it slow, it'll just end up crushing you because it's just you've already been working for the same amount of time last week you were already at 20 and this week you're still only at 15 and your muscles are like, why the hell are we still going? Like, you know,
Yeah. No,
so
I think about it because I haven't pushed it that hard with the athletes, but one thing I would like about it if I was running a class is the breakdown of your form is gradual.
mhm.
Like so if you're doing like a set of 3, like you could do 1, 2, and then that third one, all your weaknesses come flying out in that bar, you're falling all over the place. But like, like if 10 and 11, you start that knee bend comes in or whatever your weakness, your butt comes up and then your chest, like you're gonna see it before you've destroyed yourself.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So like even with
Yeah.
myself, I'm like I can catch I did my butt first that time, and if I can't fix it on the next rep, then I'm done. You know what I
It's
mean?
over. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. It's
that would
interesting.
be that would be interesting.
There's a couple different schools of thought on that. Like conjugate feels like almost the opposite, like West Side Barbell.
Uh-huh.
But as always, there's nuance to every conversation, and
Sure, sure.
I usually try to end in the middle of things. But I've had great success with people doing high reps. I've had great success with people doing only low reps. It's really
Oh
just not.
no, yeah, I wasn't saying like it's more successful. I just think it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting with the younger kids, assuming you already have the form down, to train them that way to see to be more intuitive of their failure.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm scared to max out now with kids.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
well, and I say this with love. I have too many kids that are like ego lifters, and they haven't put the work in, and so
It doesn't
like
change much as adults, to be perfectly honest.
yeah, I know, but like I had it at Forreston before I left. I had it where like if you walked in the weight room and you were new, you weren't trying anything stupid because the kids would kick your ass.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Where I don't have that set up, so now like there's always the kids are good. They'll make fun of that kid, but it already happened.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he
Exactly.
could have already hurt somebody,
Yeah,
or himself.
yeah. No, it's
Um,
and they just get better from, especially if they're newer. More repetition is a better chance to practice the movement.
oh,
Anybody
sure.
anybody we get new in, if we're doing like heavy 2s or heavy 3s that day, we might
Yeah,
do a 5 by 2. Well, that's only 10 reps for the person to practice getting better. I usually will
sure.
start them off with like a 5 by 5, as long as I don't think it's going to make them too sore or something like that. But
Yeah,
um, most new people get better with more repetitions just because it's just more practice.
sure.
It's
And
like,
just
I
the
mean,
movement is as magical as the weight.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, just the thing, I always liken a lot of skill stuff to like shooting a basketball. Like, imagine if you came in one day and I was like, all right, we're just going to shoot 5 baskets, whether you make it or not. That's
But from
that's
half
it.
court.
Yeah, and then that's your practice. So
It'd be funny
Yeah.
if you filmed it.
yeah, right. So we'll I'll have to send you the link to our we've got an on-site physical therapist. But yeah, if you've got some joint problems, maybe we'll get you in with him. And I think he accepts your insurance. I'm pretty positive, but
Okay.
he could maybe work with you and fix those things so we could get you back to being a certified CrossFitter, as you know, I'd like to hear.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
So, all right. Well, thanks for coming out, and I'm sure we'll have you on again. We'll come up with another topic. People love to hear from you. But thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. And don't forget, more protein, less bullshit.